Hi, my name is Richard Wojciechowski, and I'm going to be going over my study on discounting of reinforcing stimuli, basic research of operant changes, and between group analysis. So for this study, for target 2, we had to do a concurrent schedule of a smaller sooner reinforcer versus a larger later reinforcer. I chose to put both on a FR1, so nothing was changing except for the smaller sooner versus larger later. For the smaller sooner, a one brine shrimp was delivered to the fish immediately after the response occurred, within 1 second, and for the larger later reinforcer, additional brine shrimp were added, or if they were being trained to contact the response, preloaded, and it would receive 3 brine shrimp after a 10-second delay. And then for the second half of the target 2, I did a temporal and probability discounting survey between a routine cannabis user group and a control group of non-cannabis smokers. So, participant for experiment 1, you guys will remember my swordtail right here. He's still doing alive. His it's a neon swordtail, 10-gallon tank with those dimensions, and he was fed exclusively with R2 training wand at training time, so closed economy during the extent of target 2. For my procedure, this is what the apparatus looked like. So over here this is our shorter sooner reinforcement. So if the swordtail pecked at the blue sphere, this representing this is a soccer ball over here, then it would immediately receive reinforcement from the training wand here. If it pecked this bar, it would receive the larger later reinforcer, where I would remove the training wand, add in 2 more brine shrimp, and then after 10 seconds place it in and deliver the brine shrimp. So for baseline, we can see I did 3 5-minute trials. We only had 1 response on the larger later poll, and I think this is just due to exploratory behavior of the fish. But otherwise pretty stable, 0 responding to both. And then here's the baseline video of training. Baseline for multiple versus, or larger later versus shorter sooner. Shorter sooner will be touching any part of the blue or the soccer ball, and larger later will be touching any part of the black target on the left. So you can see not interested in either pole, just kind of hangs out the front of the tank. No conditioned response. Yay, no responding. Okay, so then training progressed. So again, for training, would deliver shorter sooner reinforcements in approximately 1 second or less immediately after response occurred, and then deliver the larger later 10 seconds later. I would remove the training rod, which you'll see in the next video, and deposit more. Actually, this next training video, it was just starting to train it, so starting with letting it contact the reinforcement for each pole. I did 2 trials each of that, and then you can see, so on day 4, hit 2 contacts for that, and then trial 5, day 5, 2 on the larger leader, and only 0 for the smaller shorter. And that's what this looked like.
Okay, training update on the shorter sooner on the ball, this guy, and larger later. So I'm purposely kind of shaping him to touch either one so he can contact the contingencies. He's been doing really good with the blue one actually so far. So I've done this for about 2 days now. Boom, he touched it. Come get up. Okay, load up again. This time I'm going to force him to pick the larger leader. Nice fat piece. Okay, we're going to force him to pick the larger leader. Come here. Come here. If you will, even. Come here. Come here. He's contacted this once or twice before too, so let's see. Okay, you touched it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So this one was preloaded with 3 brine shrimp.
7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, boom, larger later.
Yeah. So we can even see in that previous video, most of the fish is responding is kind of under control of more so the rod. It did give independent pack towards the blue one, but it would still readily follow the training rod rather than just responding to either pole. So we ran this out a little bit. Actually, on this day over here, where this line is, I accidentally put the blue and the black in backwards and saw this change occur, telling me that stimulus control was more so on the position and not so the object itself. So I ran that out and then I swapped it one more time to make sure that it was actually the fish was actually responding to the blue pole, as we can see in the final response.
Target 2, final response.
He doesn't even care for the rod.
Poke. One more time.
This video was actually after I stopped collecting data, but so you'll see I'll actually try and force him to pick the larger leader. I'll try to guide him over there and he won't go.
Poke. Poke.
It's 3 pecks.
I'll go for the larger leader. Nope.
Yep.
Okay, unprompted.
Does not want that larger leader. Okay. Then for experiment 2, like I said earlier, temporal round probability discounting surveys. I rounded up 10 routine cannabis users, mean age 27, ranging from ages 22 to 35, and 10 non-cannabis users. I asked just a quick questionnaire like, how often do you smoke or ingest cannabis? If the answer choices were either 3 or more, 1 to 2, and 0. And if people answered 0, they went into the control, and if they answered 3 or more, they went into the routine cannabis group. A brief example of my temporal discounting procedure. As you can see there, I titrated in increments of $50 with my max amount of $500. Same thing with probability, max probability for the higher amount, 50% down to 2.5%, titrating in $50 increments. And these are the graphs that came out of it. My face is covering the last one. No, but the AUC for here is 0.45. So you can see for the controls, area under the curve, the proportion was much higher, meaning that less impulsive, had larger indifference points. I will say for the control for my temporal discounting, I kind of wish I ran the timeout longer because no one really cared for 2 years. It went down it just went down to $450. Average about, I think it was like 483. Only like a few people switched over. So I'd like to run this out more and try to get this to the control temporal to really dip in. Otherwise, between my routine cannabis group, 0.23 area under the curve percentage. So highly impulsive, that indifference point way shorter. After about 100 to 200 days, you see the $100 becomes much more equal to $500. And for discounting too, at about the 50% chance for both groups, it was around $300 indifference point for the control, and 150 to 200 for routine cannabis users. That's all for my presentation. Thank you very much.